Big tech is spending $500 million to convince you that universal basic income is the end of America. The conversation about what happens when artificial intelligence takes over the workforce is no longer theoretical. It is now a funded political campaign. A new organization called Raise has launched with a clear mission: make sure the United States reaches for anything but a basic income in response to the AI revolution. The money behind this effort comes largely from the very companies building the disruption it exists to manage. They have already secured more than $500 million toward a $1 billion target. This is not a small grassroots movement. This is a coordinated effort by the architects of the future to decide the rules of the economy before the robots even arrive. The person heading up this massive expenditure is Gina Raimondo, the former Commerce Secretary under Joe Biden. She is now the CEO of Raise. Her critique of universal basic income is blunt. Speaking at the Reagan National Economic Forum, she stated that she personally thinks a basic income is like the end of America. Raimondo is not just a critic, she is the architect of the alternative. She co-chairs this new effort alongside former Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb. Together, they are pushing a strategy that relies on retraining and wage insurance rather than the unconditional cash payments that many experts believe will be necessary to sustain a consumer economy when labor is no longer the primary driver of wealth. The source of this $500 million war chest is a who of the technology and industrial sectors. Anchor partners include Amazon, Anthropic, Microsoft, and the OpenAI Foundation. Behind them sits a wall of corporate and philanthropic money that includes Blackstone, General Motors, IBM, Eli Lilly, MasterCard, Deloitte, UPS, Cisco, and Workday. Arnold Ventures is also on board, along with a dozen more organizations. These are the entities that stand to gain the most from automation. By funding this campaign, they are effectively buying the narrative that their new technology will create opportunities rather than displace the entire workforce. They want to keep the responsibility for their actions off the table. So what is the alternative to universal basic income? Raise is betting on retraining and wage insurance. Wage insurance is a system where the government or employers subsidize the difference between a worker's old salary and their new lower salary after being displaced by automation. It is a band-aid solution for a bullet wound. The evidence suggests that AI displacement demands a bigger solution than temporary patches. The strategy is running through the state level. Arkansas, Connecticut, Maryland, and Utah are the first targets for these tests. On July 31st, the National Governors Association announced a partnership with Raise to spread this model further across the country. There is a profound irony at the heart of this campaign. On one hand, while selling themselves to investors, big tech says it can eventually automate almost any job a human can do. They are building the machines that will render human labor obsolete. On the other hand, they do not want any responsibility for the economic fallout of that obsolescence. They are spending $500 million to ensure that when the machines take the jobs, the government does not have to provide a basic income to keep the lights on for the millions of people left behind. They want the efficiency of automation without the cost of human survival. On the subreddit, where the story broke, the reaction was immediate and skeptical. One commenter pointed out the fundamental economic loophole: who is going to buy any non-essential product when everyone is out of work. The discussion quickly turned to science fiction, with viewers referencing the movie Elysium, where the wealthy live on a luxurious space station while the rest of humanity lives in poverty. Another commenter brought up Peter Thiel, suggesting that tech oligarchs want to build AI-governed islands where they can control the narrative entirely. The sentiment is that this is not about economics. It is about control. It is worth noting that the person leading this charge against universal basic income is a Democrat. You might expect conservatives to be the primary opponents of cash payments, but Raimondo is bringing the centrist and progressive critique to the forefront. The upside of this $500 million campaign is that the conversation is getting harder to ignore. Gina Raimondo is bringing more attention to the issue, even if her ideas are flawed. In years of paying attention to this topic, I have yet to come across a solution that isn't some form of socialism or universal basic income. So, give it all you have, conservatives and centrists. I doubt you will come up with any workable alternatives, despite your massive funding. The future is coming, and it is paying for its own defense. This has been OrbitReports. We track the signals so you don't get lost in the noise. If you found this briefing useful, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We will be back with more precise takes on the science and the future. Stay curious. This has been OrbitReports. We track the signals so you don't get lost in the noise. If you found this briefing useful, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We will be back with more precise takes on the science and the future. Stay curious.